You have to click us all on there.
Click,
Hi.
click.
Hi.
Click, click, click,
Hi.
click.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you today?
Not only is
Hello.
it happy hump day, it's Thanksgiving Eve. Yay.
Yes.
Have you seen my baseball?
My baseball. Have you seen my baseball? Oh my goodness. I don't even know. It's just been a long week. I have no idea. It's just been a long week.
Yeah, for 3 days, it seems like you could easily fit 6 into it.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
It's
like
when
the
you know
kids are
that
off.
day off is coming, you're just like that anticipation builds, but then all the other days leading up to it just feels so much longer.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, because it's a holiday, all the kids are out of school, everybody's all over the place, so
That's
it's like,
another sore point I got.
yes.
What days did we have off when we were in school?
We had
Thanksgiving Day.
Thursday, Friday. We had Thursday and Friday.
That was
Yeah.
it. We were
Yeah.
expected to go to school and do everything we did normally on Monday through Wednesday. Just
Right.
we if you were lucky and you had a cool teacher, you might have had a little bit of a party on Wednesday.
Maybe.
These kids
Right.
ain't got. I'm sounding like the cantankerous old man. They don't know what they got going on.
Randy, cantankerous? No.
We had to walk to school in the snow uphill both ways.
That is something I never said because I'm in Texas, obviously, but that's side of the point.
Yeah.
And my school was about 15 miles away from my house. So, yeah, I wasn't going to walk that.
Right. I mean, God, I don't know. It's just like these past 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and today, I'm telling you what, I don't know what's up with people.
Yeah. It's wild all the way around.
Yeah, I think people were a lot nicer today than they were yesterday. I'll tell you that. I mean, oof. I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, people, come on, have some coffee, sip a little, drink a little, chill, enjoy the day.
Yeah. Just like these people in the chat are doing. They're just sitting here chilling, saying hi to one another,
sipping on the
Like,
drink,
what's up?
enjoying
Yeah.
the day. Let's just enjoy the day.
I hope all y'all's in the chat are chilling out on this fine Wednesday evening, the evening before Thanksgiving. I hope you're all.
They're filtering in slowly but surely. We're glad to see everybody joining us tonight. We didn't know how many people are going to be like us, sitting around doing nothing.
What's this wee stuff, Kemosabe? I've already made dinner and all this other fun jazz. Yay me! I gotta feed this place.
Well, Randy, you're the housewife. I don't even know what to say. I'm sorry.
Yes, I know.
All right.
I know.
Anyways, guys, tonight I wanted to focus on a topic that was near and dear to my heart because in our group, in our little circle, right, Brandi and Randy, everyone falls into one of two categories. They either fall in the Texas camp, like Randy, Tex, and Jason, right, and Monica, or they fall into the Missouri camp, like Brandi and Krista and Paul.
Right.
And then Rob is kind of like the outlier because he's over in Michigan. But today, I want to focus on my neck of the woods, on my homelands, where I come from, my place of origin. No, man, New Jersey. I grew up in New Jersey. This accent you're listening to right now, this is a New Jersey accent. This creature you see before you named Donnie Cho, his origin story where he developed was all in New Jersey. And I'm going to spend tonight talking about the greatest cryptid of New Jersey because New Jersey deserves respect. And I'm tired of you guys, you Texans and Missourians, dumping on New Jersey every time we're in the group chat. Like I don't have feelings.
Let me think about this again.
And so today we're going to focus on a New Jersey cryptid, that being the Jersey Devil.
Well, yeah, it's so famous they named a hockey team after it. I mean, come on.
So, before we dive deep into the topic of the Jersey Devil, I want to ask you guys, give us your thoughts. We talk about cryptids all day. We talk about Bigfoot and Dogman, but there's not much talk of Jersey Devil in these shows that you guys do, that we do. So let's just start off with what are your thoughts on the Jersey Devil? Give us your impressions, how you've heard about it, what you think it is. Let's just go from there. The New Jersey encrypted.
Well, I mean, the backstory, of course, is very unique, which screams demon to me. It does. Because this happened in it was Leeds, New Jersey.
Yeah.
So the lady, we'll just call her Mother Leeds, on her 13th child, which is the number 13. Of course, they say that when she gave birth to a 13th child, that it came out a healthy baby boy, but then turned into this cryptid and left.
Right. And then, and some accounts says that it actually like ate a few people. Other accounts say that it like shrieked, all scary, and then flew out like the window, or in some cases the chimney.
Right, but I mean,
we've all heard the stories, right?
Right, but that's folklore, and we know folklore has sometimes a shred of truth, but not necessarily the truth. But I mean, if you go back to what was in that area, the tribe, Lenape,
Lenape, the Lenape Indians.
Okay,
yeah,
right. So they were reporting seeing something like that.
Yeah.
And that story has been passed down through their generations, even before the Mother Lead story came into it. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's got to be some truth to this. Now, I watched a show. Gosh, it was the other day. Watched a show. Monster Quest put it out, and it was talking about the Jersey Devil. And I think it was the Wilkersons, Wilkerson something. I can't remember their name exactly. It's a few days ago, and I've slept. But they reported having a creature on their roof that resembled something like this. And they say that the Jersey Devil is supposed to have hooves, right? They actually had imprints on their roof
there have been reports and accounts
of hooves, right? And they were like 9 inches long and about 5 inches wide, and they were about 4 foot apart. And they were not on 4s, it was 2. So you're talking about bipedal up there. So,
and there are to this day people having cryptid accounts of the Jersey Devil, describing it looking like something like this, right? Bit of a horse's head, bat-like wings, hooves, in some cases horns. Other descriptions have it more closer to it like a dragon. But yeah, there's still accounts.
They say it has a forked tail, like a forked tail. So that would lead me to believe more on the reptile side. But then again, you're talking about bat wings.
Yeah.
And then you're talking about hooves. I don't know what this creature is. I mean, to me, it screams demon. I mean, that's every description that you read about a demon, this creature has similarities. Period.
Right.
So I don't know, but it's scary. It's a scary.
It is pretty infernal looking, right? If you look at it,
right.
I mean, it's looking like a chimera, which would beg the comparison to something more on the demonic side, right? Something more unnatural. Right, Randy, what about you?
You see what I got on?
Oh, he already took it out, Brandy. He's already got it on.
This is one of them. Don't get me wrong. There's probably something to the folklore part of it. But what they're saying it is per se, I'm fairly certain is probably a misidentification of some sort, and that how can I put it that won't really pretty much piss off everybody I know. Yeah, I just don't think
say
the
that
lead.
word, Randy.
I can't.
PG-13. PG-13.
I thought there were
Yes.
certain things we could still. Okay, peed off. I don't want to get anybody peed off at me. How's that? But
There you go.
and that's why I'm taking time to articulate what I'm trying to say. You know, you're talking about the Leeds Devils where it kind of all began. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And best I can read, best I read of and what I remembered of, it was Mother Leeds' 13th child, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Deborah Leeds.
That's who they had quote unquote identified as Mother Leeds, but it never was confirmed that was her.
Right.
So, but my biggest issue is when things really, of course, you know, at that time, Quakers and Puritans were.
Oh, we'll get there, Randy. We'll get there.
But I'm saying,
We're going to get that. Yeah, that's the next part of the
what
story.
I'm
Yeah.
saying is,
Yeah.
I think overactive imaginations have taken over and certain people poking bears. Let's put it that way.
Right. Well, you know, they do have predators in that area, in the Pine Barrens. You know, you're talking about bear and all kinds of things. But everything that I look through that is indigenous to that area, I don't know how you can confuse that with wings.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't know if they really saw wings or they just kind of thought there were wings.
Thought it was. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even see anything that could say, hey, it's got wings, or it could have been this, or it could have been that. I mean, the only other thing that I could... the only other thing that I could contribute would be maybe it was a Thunderbird.
Yeah, and those, you know, we were pretty certain that those existed and may still exist. So could it have been?
It's closer to a truth. I mean, it's closer to a truth than what I can come up with this animal, like I said, unless this one was purely demonic.
Check out what Ristel said. Ristel says, I heard it theorized recently on a podcast that the Jersey Devil might have been Nephilim genetics kicking in on that child.
Maybe.
We're talking about that Nephilim action, yo.
I mean,
as Randy adjusts his tinfoil hat,
I'm cinching it down a little bit more there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, only because, like I said, there's got to be some truth, because they, you know, the Lenape were talking about this way before this story came out about Deborah Leeds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It you know, the Pine Barrens have been a creepy place this whole time, and they are creepy. I mean,
let me ask you guys, have you ever, well, first of all, have you ever visited New Jersey?
Yeah,
I've been to Trenton
not.
before.
You have not? Oh man,
area and what's the Air Force base? It's right there. Right there. I can't remember which one it is. Right north of, right outside of Trenton. I just can't remember the name of the Air Force base. But yeah, I've been there a couple of times. And
so a couple
out there, you know. So
couple things to know about New Jersey. One, we have the best pizza, New York and New Jersey, and all other pizza in all other states suck. So if you're from Texas or Missouri, I'm sorry, you've never had good pizza, and I feel sorry for you. My heart goes out to you. Number two, New Jersey, as we all know, is the most densely populated state, but it's also very weird because, as we all know on a map, it's really small. Let me show you how much space the Pine Barrens actually occupies and where it is. So here, okay, so it's hard to see on this map, but if you look at the top left corner of the map, you'll see where it kind of shows on the compared to the rest of the state. Basically, if you look at New Jersey like it was like a peanut, basically the Pine Barrens occupies a big chunk of that lower half. And it's actually pretty close to me. It's only like not like an hour and a half drive from where I'm at, like outside Baltimore. And even though New Jersey itself is small and it's the most densely populated state, that whole bottom half, a big chunk of that is just, it's wilderness.
Yeah.
It's unpopular or sparsely populated because here's the thing about the Pine Barrens itself. Like, it's not like other woods. It's very well, first of all, it's like it's coastal swamp.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the soil is very nutrient poor. And it's very acidic. You have you don't have like the types of plants that grow there. A lot of it's like orchids and like carnivorous plants and like smaller pines. It's very thick. It's hard to like navigate through. I've been there a bunch of times as a kid. It's because normally in other woods, things are a little bit more spread out where you can navigate. Pine Barrens, you kind of need a machete to go through there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a picture of the house where supposedly the Jersey Devil was born, the Mother Leeds house.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the first thing to know about the Pine Barrens. It's not, even though it's in a very relatively small state, it's thick. There's not a lot of people living there. If it's going for a place for a cryptid to show up, I mean, that's a pretty good spot for there to be a cryptid.
Yeah, it really is. Especially a smaller cryptid like this, really.
Yeah.
Now, right. Well, and then considering the time frame we're talking about, you're talking about 1735 that this child was born, and that puts us right in line with what Randy started to say.
Right.
And I know we're going to get to that, but
the other thing you got to know about the Pine Barrens, though, it's filled with like ghost stories, also like paranormal accounts, and rumors. Lots of rumors of feral people.
Oh, really? No, that I didn't know about.
Yeah, so there's quite a few rumors.
I used to tell people, because my wife's from Vermont, and I used to tell people, now when I went up into Vermont, when people tell me that I got hillbillies and rednecks down here in Texas, trust me, Vermont has its own style of rednecks too.
New Jersey's got it. New Jersey rednecks are a special breed of rednecks.
Exactly. So they're rednecks everywhere. Because they don't all have the same accent, don't mean they're not redneck.
I don't know if you'd call them redneck. I think. I don't know.
Trust me, Brandi.
I don't know. If
I can show you some
like hillbillies.
New Jersey's got its own breed of, and it's pretty
its own breed of feral people. We'll have to think of a name.
It's pretty intense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. They're feral. I mean, I get it.
Jersey Nicks.
But yeah, a lot of people who live in those Pine Barren areas, they have stories of like rumors and accounts of feral people. Also, a lot of the bodies, because Philly, New York, mafia.
Oh,
where do you think they dump a lot of those bodies?
Oh yeah,
because you dump a body in there, you ain't finding it.
Right. I mean, because a lot of crime things that I watch, I mean, they call killing fields, and the killing fields are everywhere. Honestly, and
I'm telling you, if you ever go to the Pine Barrens, you'll be like, because it's all swampy and marshy. It's like right off the coast, and it's a good place to hide a body.
Honest. I mean, you got to think about this though. I mean, the temperatures aren't going to help you with a body, but that salt water will.
Yeah.
So, and the animals will. And plus, nobody's going to want to take a machete and go through all that to find something.
Right. It's a creepy place. It's one of those places that is definitely worth investigating for just paranormal or even cryptid activity. Apart from just the Jersey, I mean, the Jersey Devil is the most famous of all the phenomena that goes on there.
Right.
Personally, most people in New Jersey are more worried about the feral humans that are supposed to be living there. There's so many rumors about feral people living in there, and also just like nefarious folks, like drug runners and like meth labs, and it's just there's a lot of like,
you would expect that in an area that is, has sparse population. You would
think
expect
of it a swamp wedged in between New York and Philadelphia. And then
Yeah, that would
just
be
like an hour south is DC. That literally is the swamp.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 So
Okay.
I could definitely see that for sure.
So Randy, should we get into the actual story of the Leeds family? Because there's the legend, right? We all know the legend of Deborah Leeds or Mother Leeds giving birth to her 13th child.
Yep.
Let me tell you the actual story of the Leeds family. Now, when people think of that story of Mother Leeds, giving birth to that 13th child, oftentimes in your mind's eye, as you've heard that story, you're thinking of like some poor woman living deep in the woods, right?
Yeah.
Some poor single mom, probably some hodunk living in a cabin in these deep, dark woods. No, this was probably one of the wealthiest families in the area. The whole land, the whole area is named after them.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I thought it was because of that was just that prominent family, the main family.
Right. That was the main family. Yeah. And this is the funniest bit because growing up, I heard this story as a kid. Every kid in New Jersey, like elementary school, they teach us this story. The Leeds, the Jersey Devil. I mean, I learned about the Jersey Devil on a school field trip to the Pine Barrens.
Yeah, because they wanted to give you the full background of the Pine Barrens before you got there.
So don't
all
walk
the kids,
off.
Yeah.
That's what they tell you as kids, so you don't walk off when you're on a field trip.
Yeah.
So when we heard those stories about Mother Leeds giving birth to that creature, we're thinking some poor old lady, in some cabin. No, this was the most prominent family in that area at the time. Now, here's what they were known for. The patriarch of the family was this guy named Daniel Leeds. He was originally a Quaker. They came over from England. And this was the early 1700s, right? Early 1700s. Pre-revolutionary, right? Because that was like the later half of that century. This is like the earlier part, where basically at this time the country was, much like today, was pretty divided. Right? Today you've got like progressives versus conservatives, right? Back then the country was pretty much split between people who were pro-crown and people who were anti-crown, right? Who were pro-England. They were like loyal because at the time, America was a colony still. And some people, like especially the haves, the people who were well-to-do, it was very much in their interest to be pro the nobility, the aristocracy, the British crown, because it benefited them directly, right? But then all the working class people, all the people underneath them, they were pro-independence. They were very not big fans of the crown. And at the time, the governor of New Jersey was this guy named Lord Cornbury, who was a British loyalist who was really unpopular, right? Now, back in the early 1700s, when you wanted to talk smack about someone or you wanted to diss on someone, what would you do? Or what would you call them? Of the devil.
Yeah.
Because everyone was so religious back then, right? That's all the context they had. Now, this guy, this patriarch, who was Daniel Leeds, who was pro-crown, what he was famous for was starting a little book you may be familiar with, known as the Farmer's Almanac.
Ah, okay.
They were the ones that started it.
Leeds. Yeah. It was called Leeds Almanac back then. Yeah.
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 They were the originators of the Farmer's Almanac. That whole idea of the almanac came from him and his family and the Leeds family. So they were pretty prominent because at that time that people lived. I mean, I'm from the urban areas. You guys are familiar. Tell us a bit about the Farmer's Almanac, what it means to you or to the people of your states.
I'll let you go first if you want.
Well, basically what it is the Farmer's Almanac, that what means for us is that it leads into what our weather patterns will be like. What is going to be the best planting seasons and, what's the best harvest time and all of that kind of stuff. It kind of gives you a forecast for the next year.
And I'll tell you right now, growing up, and we had a garden, and we had my grandmother had a garden, and we literally were planting corn, okra, beans of every kind, peas, everything we could think of. We were planting so we can for the winter type thing. And I want to tell you right now, this is 1975 to 79, 84, that time frame. And I will tell you right now, my grandmother, born in 1908, I think is when she was born. If it didn't say it was time to plant by that almanac, we didn't plant. We didn't even till until she said it was time. And she went by that. That's how the old folks, they literally swore by it.
Right.
And you know what? When she did it, we never went with anything, a bad crop. We never went with a bad crop.
Yeah, I mean, you could always end up with something that is just out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
But normally, I mean, that's what they use is to forecast or predict what the next year is going to be.
Yep.
So imagine in your lifetime, you remember how everyone lived and died by the almanac.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine back in the early 1700s. They said basically every household back then had two books, the Bible and the Farmer's Almanac.
Exactly.
Because back then everything was much more rural, much more living off the earth. Literally everyone, you lived and died by this book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And his family was the one who brought it in, published it mainstream. Right?
Yep.
Now, so Daniel Leeds, he dies in like 1720 and gives the almanac publishing business over to his son, Titan. Okay, I couldn't find a picture of Titan, but
I didn't see one either now that you mention it.
Okay, so at this time, another almanac comes out to compete directly with them. Well, actually, before I go there, before I go into the whole almanac rivalry, I just want to say that the Leeds family, they started off as Quakers. Most of the people in the Pine Barrens area, living in this area at the time in this part of New Jersey, they were mostly Quakers, but he had a major falling out with the Quakers. He got kicked out of the church because in his almanac, it was a little bit different from the almanac we know today because it had all the stuff like the Farmer's Almanac does, but it also had like astrological stuff. And there was some wooey stuff. And the Quakers, they didn't like that he put astrological information in his almanac. They thought that it was satanic, blasphemous, heretical. It was of the devil. Mm-hmm. So they started complaining about him, and then eventually they started releasing papers about him, and then he got kicked out of the church. Daniel Leeds gets so PO'd that he publishes this long open letter to the Quaker community, basically trashing them. And then he converts to Anglicanism, which is the British Crown's version of Christianity, right?
Yep.
Basically, British Catholicism is essentially what it was at the time.
Church of England.
Yeah, the Church of England. And he completely just has a major, very ugly public falling out with the Quakers, to the point now where the Quakers, they hate this guy's guts. This guy who used to be a member of their community, who was so prominent for publishing this book that everyone lived by, but because he was putting astrological stuff in there, and he was talking about like some Christian mysticism and esoteric stuff in his almanac, that they were like, oh, this guy's of the devil. Now, this is a picture of Titan's almanac. Look at the family crest. Do you notice something there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You notice the winged creatures?
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So at that time, what happened was all of these people started talking all this smack about the Leeds family. They had so many reasons to hate them. Number one, they were British royalists. Number two, they put all this satanic stuff in the book that they have in their household. And number three, they just completely dissed on their whole religion.
Mm-hmm.
So now everyone in the community, all of their neighbors are going around saying that these Leeds people, and they were so way richer than all of their neighbors, right?
Right.
I mean, again, the whole county is named after them. So now everyone in the community is talking smack like, oh, they're of the devil. They're of the devil. Because back in the early 18th century, that's how you would talk smack about people you didn't like. Right nowadays, we got social media, Facebook. Leave nasty comments.
Yeah.
Start rumors.
Right.
Leave posts.
Real quick. Thanks, T-Bone. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, what happened? What did T-Bone do?
Gifted 5 memberships.
Oh, T-Bone, I didn't see that. Thank you, T-Bone.
We got 5 new boos.
The Jersey Devil thanks you.
The Jersey Devil thanks you.
But that's how they would diss on people.
Yeah, I mean, but see, I get that point. It's just, today, people just talk over the internet. They hide behind a screen. They hide behind their keyboard. They do that now. They can do it anonymously under these handles and blah 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 blah. Back then, if you said something, you better be able to back that up or have a mob behind you. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Well, their version of that was releasing these pamphlets, right? These long written pamphlets. And people were releasing pamphlets and letters, basically just trash talking each other like it was like the old timey version of Facebook or something.
Right.
And the way you would oftentimes diss on someone back then was to associate them with the devil, because naturally everyone's religious. So people starting this whole story about Mama Leeds giving birth to the Jersey Devil. That's like the old timey version of a "Yo Mama So Fat" jokes. Your mama's so stupid jokes, like in the 80s and 90s, because that's how they did it back then.
Well, the other thing is that you can kind of flip that. Yeah. It's just maybe if the baby was born stillborn, or worse, if it was born deformed, and then the family did away with it and they just concocted this story because their crest did have this flying dragon looking thing in their crest, so they already knew that it was there. Maybe that happened. Maybe it was more sinister than what we're thinking.
I'm not saying that the Jersey Devil is complete malarkey, because I do know that there are people who have accounts all throughout history. From that point on, there have been eyewitness reports of creatures, mysterious creatures. So I'm not saying that those don't exist there. But the fact that there was this one family that was really prominent that everyone hated, and they were just slamming them with accusations of being satanic because they were on the wrong side of the political faction, religious faction, right? So next comes along a little known gentleman known as Benjamin Franklin. Now, this is not the Benjamin Franklin we all know and love. This was a younger Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin starts to, when he's in his 20s, he decides to start his own almanac business. This is not the Benjamin Franklin that we all regard as the founding father, right? What a great man, right? Yeah. I mean, this dude invented electricity, Brandi. He invented the $100 bill, yo. Not that guy. No, before all that, look at all this. We won't be able to be doing this show without Benjamin Franklin's contributions. That man invented electricity.
Yeah, but that was later. That wasn't.
Yeah, that was much later.
He didn't invent it. He discovered it.
He invented electricity, yo.
It was already there. He just discovered it.
He invented
the containment and transfer of electricity.
He did.
He invented kites.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna step away for a second. Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, he invented kites. He invented electricity. He invented the $100 bill. That's my favorite invention, by the way. My personal favorite invention.
Donnie's lying, everybody. I'm just saying.
Yeah, before all those great accomplishments, he was a guy in his 20s. He was a Renaissance man, right? And one of his earliest ventures as a young man, basically back then when you're in your 20s, you're like in your 40s today. He started his own almanac business, but it was called Poor Richard's Almanac, because Ben Franklin's sobriquet back then was Poor Richard. That was his pen name.
Yep.
And he made his version called Poor Richard's Almanac. Now, the difference between Poor Richard's Almanac and the Leeds Almanac was it had a lot of similar information, except it didn't have all that woo in there. He left out all of the astrological stuff, all the mystic stuff, all the esoteric stuff. It was just Farmer's Almanac, straightforward. What's so funny?
I'm sorry. Something just came up. I just looked over and Deborah, it came out of the blue. And I was like, oh, that's hilarious.
Bobby Boucher's mom.
Bobby Boucher's mom.
Oh, yeah. I know the reference.
Oh, God.
Anyway.
It caught me off guard and it just tickled me. Sorry.
It's from the devil. It's the devil. It's the devil.
Okay.
Ben Franklin didn't invent electricity. I did. Ben Franklin is the devil. That is a line in the movie. Legit.
My other bit is when people mention George Washington Carver, I'm always like, oh, the guy who invented peanuts? That's a great man. We wouldn't have peanut butter without that man.
Oh.
Anyway.
All right.
I'm sorry. I got sidetracked. I didn't mean to. I just thought it was funny.
Oh, that reminds me of a different story. Okay.
All right. Anyway.
It's a story about a boll weevil, but we'll talk about that later.
So Benjamin Franklin comes along, and at the time, the almanac business, the Leeds family almanac business, had been handed down from Daniel to his son, Titan. Titan's running this ship, right? And Ben Franklin comes along, this young Ben Franklin, who's like the rival. He's going to try to outmuscle the Leeds almanac. And one of his strategies is, one, taking out all that woo-woo stuff, no astrology, no mysticism, no talk about spirits or whatever, right? And number two, he is going to publicly troll the bejesus out of Titan Leeds. And oh boy, does he troll him. Before trolling was even invented. That's right. That's the other great invention of Benjamin Franklin, the troll job.
Well, he sounds like he was kind of shrewd, It's just kind of like he picks up on somebody else's idea and then tries to bully him out. So
one of the things he does in his edition of Poor Richard's Almanac, he writes this whole piece about how, to make fun of the Leeds Almanac, he starts writing about astrology, and he's like, through my astrological calculations and machinations, I predict that Titan Leeds is going to die in October of 1735. 33. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and by the way, Ben Franklin was born in 1705. So he was like, what, 28 at this time?
Yeah.
This is a young Ben Franklin.
And Leeds had been he was like in his 40s, I think, at that point, if I'm not mistaken.
He's just making fun of him. You know how people like sling mud in politics? They just make fun of their opponent. Ben Franklin was the originator of that. Ben
Franklin sounded like a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Him and Edison work well together. How's that?
Well, yeah. You have your shrewd businessmen, but I think this guy was just mean.
Oh, he takes it to another level.
He picks up on somebody else's idea and then tries to bully him out of it.
So to make fun of all the astrology stuff, he's just like, oh, through astrology, I predict that Titan Leeds is going to die at this time. That time comes and goes. Titan's still alive, and Titan is like, he's just like so indignant at the fact that Ben Franklin tried to publicly roast him that he releases this open letter basically saying, this guy Ben Franklin's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a troll. He has no credibility. And he's talking like all this smack about Ben Franklin. Like, seriously, though. Like, he's saying like seriously. Ben Franklin's response was like, guys, that's the ghost of Titan Leeds. So from that point on, he refers to Titan Leeds as a ghost. He's like, oh, no, he actually died at that time. And then people are like, what about this scathing letter that Titan wrote about you in public? He's like, no, that was written by a ghost. Don't mind that.
You're kidding.
For the rest of Titan's life, Ben Franklin refers to him as a ghost. So much so to the point that people like randomly start calling him a ghost in public. And Titan is like driven mad because he's just like, damn, I'm alive. I'm not a ghost. And it drives him insane until he finally dies in like 1738. But that's the history's first troll job ever. That's right. Ben Franklin invented the art of trolling.
Bullying.
That's beyond bullying. That's trolling. That's literally trolling. When you're just like, no, you're a ghost.
Well, I mean, you could kind of consider it social media bullying, kind of. You think about it. He was using, papers and things like that to, yeah.
Now, the stories of Mother Leeds and the Jersey Devil, they didn't start reaching like public prominence until, I believe there had been sightings, at least the initial stories and it first came up in like newspapers in the 1800s. In the 19th century, they were talking about, there were sightings of this creature, this winged creature. And then that's where you see the first manifestations of the story of Deborah Leeds, the Mother Leeds, giving birth to the 13th child. I believe a lot of those stories came from all the mudslinging and all the trolling that was thrown towards the Leeds family's way, fueled by Ben Franklin and the general community around them's hate towards the family itself. Because by a century later, in the 1800s, those stories have been floating around in that community around the Pine Barrens for ages. That when they first accounts of this creature being spotted, people are naturally going to be like, "Oh yeah, I heard. Yeah, Mother Leeds. Yeah, they're all of the devil. They're of the devil."
Well, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, like I said, it could be something more to it, and it could be more of Ben Franklin's issues here. But like I said, maybe the baby was stillborn, or whatever, and that's just something that Ben Franklin decided to say, just to give them more of a bullying type nudge. You know what I mean? Just kind of like, well, she gave birth to a dragon, lizard, bat,
right,
horse thing.
But the thing is, there had been sightings of a creature for reals. Like there have been numerous reports and accounts all the way from the 19th century, but people tied it with all the mudslinging and the rumors flowing around about the Leeds family from the century prior, right? My theory is that there have been creatures being sighted there, but because you had the Leeds family there that were tied very closely with the land because of the house, and then you have their famous farmer's almanac with their family coat on every edition showing a winged creature, people are just going to tie.
Well, yeah, I mean,
together.
the stories were floating around already before the Leeds ever settled there. So of course, somebody who wants to sling a little mud is going to pick up on that,
right?
And because they live in that area where the stories originated, yeah, that's what they're going to say that happened to that child.
Speaking of slinging mud.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you. Thank you. We all appreciate you.
Thanks, Mark.
I don't have the crazy one like you got, so you get a rooster.
What's that?
What are you doing?
What do you mean, what am I doing? Come on,
we can't hear nothing.
You couldn't hear it? Well, then
No.
fine. Take this in.
Donnie Cho, meme of the week.
That was good timing there. I see what you did. Okay, guys. This week's meme of the week is actually tied directly into this topic because this is something I need to share with you. I do believe there's a creature out there, and we'll talk more about more recent sightings. But if you guys ever find yourselves in the Pine Barrens and you encounter the nefarious beast known as the New Jersey Devil, there is one defense that you have to protect yourself against its nefarious ways. There's the New Jersey Devil, but then we also have New Jersey Jesus. That's right. John Bon Jovi. Now, if you ever encounter the beast, just remember, if you're faced with the New Jersey Devil, you have to first just know that you have, through the grace of our Lord and Savior, John Bon Jovi, you have the authority to cast it out in the name of John Bon Jovi, because our New Jersey Jesus watches over us, New Jerseyans, John Bon Jovi. John Bon Jovi will protect you from the New Jersey Devil, because the only way to defeat the New Jersey Devil is through the grace.
That's what I'm getting ready to say. That's what I'm getting ready to say, Donnie, because, the New Jersey Jesus is living on a prayer.
Hallowed be thy name. Hallowed be thy name.
What's really bad is that devil on that side looks like the brain dead horse or the brain damaged horse in Family Guy. Okay.
Do not forget. Not Bruce Springsteen. No, that dude sucks.
Anywho,
that dude's trash.
Because only John Bon Jovi lives on a prayer.
John Bon Jovi is the New Jersey Jesus.
He's the New Jersey Jesus.
Yes.
I can't help it. I'm sorry. It's choking me up a little bit. Ooh.
She feels the power and the grace of New Jersey Jesus, John Bon Jovi.
Yeah. He was a very good looking man when he was younger. Woo. Okay.
Well, that depends on who you talk to. Now he did a country song a while back, with that girl from Sugarland.
I said when he was young. When he was young.
There were a lot of the people that were still kind of crooning over him at that time. I kind of laughed at it. I was like, dang, y'all go pull like the girls at Tom Jones's concerts, throwing the panties up on the stage. What the heck? Stop.
I don't understand that.
Hey, did Bigfoot Michigan Rob ever share with you the time he met John Bon Jovi?
No, he didn't.
Oh, you got to get him to tell that story. That's a pretty amazing story.
We'll get him to tell that story. Maybe Saturday night.
And when I met him, when we had the Arkansas conference, right? Not Arkansas, Alabama. Oh, all those states are the same to me. When we met him in Alabama,
we all look alike.
I remember the first time I just touched him. I was like, I just need to touch the man who met John Bon Jovi. I need to feel that holy grace who protects us from the New Jersey Devil.
Well, it would be interesting to ask Mr. John Bon Jovi if he has ever encountered the Jersey Devil.
Yeah.
Yes.
And did it run in fear like we think it did?
Well, I mean, he is New Jersey Jesus, so.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to get in touch with him. Maybe we need to do that, that whole theory of the 6 degrees of separation.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we need to start working on those 6 steps to get to John Bon Jovi and see if he is seeing the Jersey Devil.
I'm kind of with Mickey. All praise to Stevie Nicks.
All right. Okay.
Anyway,
enough of the me.
So,
enough of that.
anyway,
we're done with the Church of John Bon Jovi.
So the actual name of the Jersey Devil doesn't get applied to the phenomena until like the turn of the 20th century. Mm-hmm. When I believe around 1920s in the Pine Barrens area, like all of these people had these sightings of this creature all at once. You know what it kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of like the Mothman encounters. Remember there was like that one brief period of time where like everyone in that area saw the same thing?
Like a harbinger of chaos or death. Yeah.
That's kind of what happened with the Jersey Devil. Like a whole bunch of people in South Jersey just had these encounters.
Yeah, in 1909, January 16th to the 23rd, they published all the reports too at the same time in the newspapers then. And I'm sitting there looking at this stuff. I'm like, man, these guys, they and this is 1909. They offered a $10,000 reward at that time. At that point, the Philadelphia Zoo did. And I'm like, that's a lot of money. So you're going to be at that time, especially, you're going to have everybody and their dog out in the woods trying to find that thing.
I mean, you got to think about it. This was the biggest cryptid before even Bigfoot was a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I mean, we because
I mean, there had always been encounters of Bigfoot, but Bigfoot didn't get into like the national zeitgeist until like the 1960s, 70s.
Well,
like there have been stories from like the 1920s and the 1800s, but
there were stories way before that. I mean, because they were calling him a hairy man or whatever they were.
Bigfoot wasn't a household name until like the 70s. The Jersey Devil was,
the name Bigfoot.
Yeah,
but the Jersey Devil.
Jersey Devil is a true OG.
I mean,
it was Leeds Devil for a long time.
Yeah, before it became Jersey Devil, it was called the Leeds Devil.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you think that was Ben Franklin
I think that was one that
undermining
started it.
that?
I think.
Yeah.
I don't think he started it, but I think he definitely added fuel to that
Egged
fire.
it on, yeah. I think the
Yeah.
when we were talking about how he had Daniel had fallen out with the Quakers and such, and they had started talking about his astrology and such and everything, and him being the devil, quote unquote, and then Lee's devil kind of came in after that. And you're like sitting there thinking, now you think about it, that 13th child, the old story of the 13th child. What was the name of the 13th child? Did anybody ever find out?
It's probably lost through history.
I mean, that could have been made up just to make a statement by the Quakers of the time, could have been made up so they could throw out that Daniel was that 13th child.
Right.
But then again, like I said, it's probably lost through
Oh, yeah.
history and folklore. It's probably lost because basically the name is irrelevant.
Right.
Yeah. Now, especially.
Right. And it's like if you're trying to say that she had the Jersey Devil, well, you're not going to give it a name.
No.
But you did call the Jersey Devil or the Leeds Devil.
Leeds Devil, yeah. If someone had been born like that back then, Quakers and people all alike, not just the Quakers, everybody of that time, they'd have taken it in the woods and buried it right then and there. It'd have been done.
Right.
Any kind of abnormality like that.
And they may have, like I said, they may have. And it may have been, something that was deformed or whatever, and word got out. And then, here comes Benjamin Franklin. He planted the seed to somebody and let the rumors fly, and then just kind of fan that fire,
The original Mean Girl.
Right.
There you go.
And again, you got to remember, 18th century, the way you would diss someone, you'd say, instead of saying in more modern days, you say, yo mama's so fat or yo mama's so ugly. Back then, they would say, your mama gave birth to the devil.
Your mama gave birth to a demon.
Yeah. That's how they diss people back then. So I'll tell you a little interesting story. So a couple years back, I actually did a podcast on this very subject with on Jessica's show, where she was remote viewing the Jersey Devil, right?
Yeah.
Before I went on the show, I was talking to our mutual comrade, Jason McLean, and I was telling him about how I was going to do this appearance on Jessica's show for remote viewing for the Jersey Devil. And Jason was like, hey, mention my theory on the Jersey Devil. And I was like, what's your theory on the Jersey Devil? He's like, I think it's a misidentified pterosaur. Because, we all know that Jason has shared multiple times his pterosaur account, right?
Right.
Because he's actually witnessed it himself. That's his introduction into the cryptid world. So I'm like, okay. So he goes into why he thinks it is. And then when I do the podcast with Jessica and she does the remote viewing, she had the exact same conclusion. She said that it was a misidentified pterosaur. They both matched.
That's why I threw up the Thunderbird. Because some people think that seeing that is the same thing as the, what Jason is saying.
Mm-hmm.
That it's misidentified.
And then you mentioned that the Lenapes had mentioned seeing them as well.
Yes.
Now, my theory is that people in that area had been witnessing some kind of creature like a misidentified pterosaur. And because that area was... Thank you, T-Bone. Man, he's very generous today. And because people in that area were witnessing these creatures, and that land was so tied in with the Leeds family because they controlled a big portion of that land.
Right.
I think they just through natural association, they got lumped in together.
Mm-hmm.
It might be. Now, the Pine Barrens area, can we find a map of exactly what was it, Leeds County? In the Pine Barrens area? I mean, because I would like to see, in reference to the map you put up of all of the Pine Barrens, of what their plot area looked like, their piece of property, what that looked like. Because, I mean, it could be smack dab right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
You guys talk amongst yourselves while I find it.
Okay. I mean, what are we talking? Are we talking about 200 acres, 2,000 acres, 200,000 acres. I mean, what are we talking? Thank you, Mike. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you. Spread that Canadian. But you know, it makes me wonder, you know, because you like where I had my second encounter with the Bigfoot, where I had a close-up encounter. I mean, the map that is full of encounters, you know, it shows you where all the reports are made, where I was smack dab right in the middle of that thing. So did it make sense that I saw one? Sure. Sure.
I think I found it. Hold on one second.
Okay. But, you know, my thing is do we think this is more like Mothman?
Is it around Galloway?
Here it is. Leeds Point is that star right there. You see where Atlantic City is?
Where I was going to, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of right there. And then here's a map of what the whole Pine Barrens area is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
It's right
I
on
see
that
it.
coastal area.
It's right on that water.
Yeah.
You're right up Egg Harbor, right?
Now, here's
Yeah.
why Jason and thinks that it could be a misidentified pterosaur. It's not like where Bigfoot and Dogman, they're in these forests, are all landlocked. This is the Atlantic coast. So for some cryptid
Thank you,
bird-like
Shelley.
creature to be spotted, I mean, it would be most likely be spotted in coastal kind of wilderness like this, right? Where you got thick woods, thick swamps, and you got the ocean right there.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there would have to be a fresh water source. We know. Thank you, Shelley. If you didn't hear me, thank you, Shelley. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
There's got to be a fresh water source there somewhere, and we don't have a detailed enough a map enough to find out. And some of that stuff you can't map it because, well, you just can't see it or get to it because of the you know, the harsh terrain there. But I would think that it would support a lot of cryptids in that area because it is a vast area.
It's vast for being in such a small state. And
Right.
It's thick. It's hard to navigate through.
Well, I mean, it takes up a lot of the state. You know what I mean?
It's real hard to hike through.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's just way too many natural barriers.
But do you think this is more like the Mothman creature versus, like I said, a physical being?
That's kind of the way I kind of take it, because the way it's described through folklore, you know, people are seeing it, but they're seeing it in certain ways, I guess you might say. Whereas the Mothman is an harbinger, and there was also a write up in the on the How Ben Franklin helped ignite a little write up about how that early on they believed that the Leeds devil was a harbinger. So
right,
that's my take on it. I mean, honestly, but then again, you know, I'm on the fence about Mothman. I'm not sure if it's.
You and me both.
Yeah, I have a belief that I don't know if it's like demon or angel. There's a fine line in between that, you know, because of the Mothman stories. About some say that the Mothman saved their lives, and then there's others that say the Mothman showed up before a big tragedy happened and they didn't save anybody. So I'm kind of, I don't know. I don't know about this one. I mean, it sounds like a mixture of like a whole bunch of animals put together. And it's kind of like a Frankenstein kind of thing, you know, because it had, you know, like, look at it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that look like more like a horse head or a goat's head or
like a horse
a
head.
dragon head or
you talk about,
what are we looking at?
Yeah. People looking at it at the time, you know, that may have been what they thought of right off the bat was a horse head, you know.
Exactly, but it was
quote
walking.
unquote cloved or hooved.
Yeah,
So,
but it walked bipedal.
So
This one, this is a little tough for me. It's a little tough for me. Is there something out there that looks like that? Probably, but I think again, I think it could be misidentification again.
Yeah,
but it could be a misidentification of a pterosaur, which would be a completely different cryptid entirely, right? Now, the fact that the sightings go dormant, but then they all happen all at once, that kind of is reminiscent to me of like a migratory spot, because a lot of these these transcontinental flying creatures, they'll have these migratory spots where they all show up at once, and then you don't see them again for like the rest of the year or multiple years or seasons or whatever, right?
Right. Yeah. Because even the latest reports of them and these prints being seen have been in wintertime, and they've been on roofs. Roofs. So tell me, what thing with hooves is going to be on a roof? Reindeer.
Pterosaurs don't have
Santa's
hooves.
reindeer. Yeah. It's Santa's reindeer. I'm going with that because that's all I got. That's all I got. I don't know. Because I just, but you're seeing them, and these people are genuinely scared. So and just watching the interviews and stuff, and they probably have told their story 1,000 times, but yet it still chokes them up and gets them, tense as they tell it each and every time.
They're legitimate encounters, and recent ones too.
It's a unicorn. My vote, it's Pegasus.
That's what I was thinking at first, Pegasus. When I looked at it, I was like, "That's like those winged dead horses in Harry Potter movies. What the heck were they called?" But anyway, that's what that reminded me of. I'm like, "Oh, that's a very skinny Pegasus."
I draw the line at unicorns, folks. Like, I'm open-minded. I consider myself generally open-minded, right? You want to talk about aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot? Okay, cool. You want to talk about fairies and leprechauns and banshees and mermaids? I'm like, oh, okay, all right. But as soon as you mention unicorns, that's where I draw the line. I'm like, nope, unicorns are not real. What are we doing? We're getting silly now. We're getting silly now.
Don't get it.
We don't even get any rainbow bright unicorns. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell you
right now. The Pegasus territory.
The Irish Rovers will tell you all about unicorns. Okay.
Right.
Because
that's where I draw the line.
So is this true? Now, I'm not big on kangaroos, so this is not a thing. What type of feet do they have?
They're padded, I believe. They're not hooved. No.
Let's look it up. I thought they were clawed because they kind of.
Well, I'm saying, but they're kind of a padding. They're like a jumping rat, Yeah,
because some people are describing in some of the reports. Or folklore, let's just call it some of folklore, are saying it has the bottom half body of like a kangaroo, like a stronger bottom half. But the picture, Donnie, that you're showing it doesn't look very strong. It looks very like that would be the weakest part of the animal.
Kangaroos' feet are pretty unique looking. They're long, they're clawed.
But they have pads. Is what I'm
saying. They have pads. Yeah.
So
Okay.
Oh.
So I'm just like saying I'm just wondering if you're right, Donnie. This is some mudslinging done to the Leeds family, and that's why all of these animals that are known to us, that anyone can go see at a zoo, basically. Are put together. They're all thrown together to make this hideous looking thing to just sling mud.
Yeah. And not to say that there's not weirdness going on in the Pine Barrens, because I definitely think there is.
Gosh, no. There's a lot of videos out there about the Pine Barrens. Go watch a couple. See how creepy that place is. I mean,
that place is creepy.
In there, it's dark during the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get in the woods, it's dark during the day. Just saying.
Yeah, and especially like you don't want to investigating a location like the LBL is one thing, But the Pine Barrens, there's like feral people in there, and nah, I'm cool.
I mean, the LBL. Okay, we got to talk about that for a minute because there is a main road that goes through there. Of course, it's paved. There's campgrounds scattered throughout, which are paved. There are some roads out there, a lot of roads that are maybe 1 to 2 lane, maybe, but they're gravel.
Yeah.
But there's something a path or somewhere where you can go to get through. There are some dense forest in there, and like the LBL does go in, the forestry department has to go in and burn that off because it does create a fire issue if something should happen, like lightning or a careless camper or whatever. So they do have to go in and do controlled burns. But what I'm trying to say is they take care of the place. They take care of it. We're talking about the Pine Barrens. Nobody's going in there taking care of nothing. If a tree falls, that's where it lays till it rots.
Yeah.
The stuff is grown up so thick in there that nobody's taking care of it. It is not maintained. It is just, they're like, here's the Pine Barrens.
It'd be just like any other marsh, though. I mean, if any other marshy area, they're not going to be able to maintain it because they can't get nothing in there to maintain it, really.
Right.
I mean, think about the swamps down in southern Louisiana. The only way you get in and out of them is in an airboat. You can't even take a real boat. You have to take an airboat in there to do it. And then by the time you try and cut something down, it's just whatever's under the water is just going to rise right back up, So
right. Well, this is interesting. Joanne in chat says Mr. Leeds had more than one wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, he had a couple. He had his first wife actually died in childbirth, and then he remarried.
Was that
it's
Daniel?
Unclear. This is talking about Daniel. It's unclear who exactly. Like they think it's Deborah Leeds, his second wife.
Yeah,
that is the mother Leeds in the story, but it's actually unclear because again, the mother Leeds story doesn't come out until like almost 100 years later.
Yeah,
in the newspapers in the 19th
century.
century.
They didn't say that mother Leeds died in childbirth or giving birth.
Right.
That what they said about her is she said the devil can have this one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, the story is unclear. The story is unclear. It was never written.
Yeah.
It was never written. It's all folklore.
And who knows? This whole cryptid phenomena could just be the result of Ben Franklin's trolling.
Bullying. Yeah.
Trolling.
He likes to call him a troll. I'm just calling him
because
a bully.
No, the reason why I wouldn't say bullying is because at the time Ben Franklin was the underdog.
Yeah, but think about it. But he picked up on somebody else's idea.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he got, because he wasn't mudslinging before the almanac. Only after he got into it and did his own.
It's just so funny that he kept up that troll. Like he kept it up. That's my favorite part of the story. He's like, no, Titan Leeds is a ghost. He died. My prediction came true. And Titan Leeds out in public is like, I'm still alive, everybody. And Ben Franklin's like, nope, he's a ghost. That's a ghost talking right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like completely.
Yeah.
Completely ignoring him. You know what I mean? Like completely ignoring him like he never existed. Yeah. It's kind of like we do that now. It's like I could walk by Randy and say hi, Donnie, and just walk right past him and not pay attention, like he's not there, like he's a ghost.
You do it all the time. What are you talking about?
I do it. No, I don't. I don't.
We'll wait till after we're off the air to do our normal high signs, okay?
All right. But I like I said, I mean, could it be a cryptid, kind of like Mothman, like a harbinger? Could it be that this was Ben Franklin just mudslinging, just to further himself in the business world? And could it be made up? I don't know. I'd have to go back to the indigenous Indian tribes of the area and go with what they said. Which they said that something similar to this existed way before that had happened. But like I said, I think Ben Franklin found out about the story or knew of the story of the local legends in the tribes there and just fed upon that.
Oh yeah,
and just
breathe
started
life in it for
mudslinging.
everybody else.
But the one
Yeah.
thing that we do know 100% for sure is real, and it's very real. New Jersey Jesus. He's 100% real. And he could be real
Thank
for
you,
you
Donnie.
folks if you just let him into your hearts and into your
I
mind.
don't know. Thank you.
And Ben
But
Accept
anyway,
him.
Accept
Accept him.
him.
I'll have to go. I'll have to go with the Lenape. I'll have to go with them.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
know, because they were talking about this creature existing. I'm going to say it exists. There you go.
Yep.
There's my opinion on it.
Hey,
That's it.
Ben Franklin created X. Or
Yep.
correction, he created Twitter, and then Elon Musk bought X.
Yeah.
Anyway,
He invented the electricity they run off of.
exactly.
And he invented all the $100 bills that they have in their bank accounts. So
Yes.
Oh my goodness. He just learned how to. Oh my gosh, Donnie, don't. Stop. He just learned how to harness it and transfer it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's it.
At least he didn't
Anyway,
raid the
don't
patent
let Donnie
office.
lie to you.
people are going to be like, I'm going to fact check that guy. That's not right. Where's Snow?
Do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Did Ben
Oh,
Franklin
that's-
really invent electricity? I don't believe him.
You know what? I'm
If
glad
I'm
I'm not.
laughing at Donnie, that ought to tell you something. Don't
Yeah.
believe a
I'm
word he's
glad I
saying.
don't get notifications on the Blondes and Boos YouTube thing, because that community is going to be lit up by a bunch of comments in the next about 6 hours or so.
I'm going to send them all to you. I'm going to forward them to you, Randy.
Nope.
Don't worry.
Nope. I have to deal with Texas enough as it is.
Well, anyway, but I'm thinking, I don't know what to do with the story. I don't know what to do with the story. And why is it only in the Pine Barrens? Why aren't they moving out or branching out? Because as
I think
our population grows, we're closing in on environments.
I think as
we
a
are
migratory way station or waypoint, Pine Barrens makes a lot of sense.
it does,
It
but
makes a lot of sense.
why are they? Because if they were of the physical, if the physical being, why are they not reproducing? Why are they only localized in one area and not any other? Because the Mothman stories are starting to spread. People are
Right.
reporting that they are seeing them in other areas, that it's not just in that one particular area, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So why is this particular cryptid just localized in one area? Why has it not branched out? Because like I said, as our environment for these things to hide shrink, because we, our overpopulation and deforestation and all of that good stuff is happening all the time, why? I mean, I could see why they wouldn't try to build in the Pine Barrens, only because of, like you said, Donnie, it's basically an ocean swampland, so it's basically salt water and everything else there, but I don't know.
I have a theory.
I don't know.
I have
What's
a theory.
your theory?
Donald Trump.
I don't know that was coming.
Okay,
Have you ever been to Atlantic? Have you ever been to Atlantic City? Have you ever been to Atlantic City?
No.
Hey, since we're going there, you need
I
to
was
answer that
hoping.
question then. Before
Not
they
that
yell
I
at
know
you.
of, actually. I think that honestly, I think you're good. I'm gonna have to ask Brian Bowden on this one. I think there might have actually been dogman sightings in that area, but no Bigfoot sightings I'm aware of. But I think Brian Bowden would be a better person to ask about that.
I would have to study that map more. Now I'm assuming there are freshwater, maybe a little river, a creek, or a pond, something. There's got to be something there with fresh water that can sustain life. You know what I mean? I'd
Honestly,
have to really
though,
look
like
to see if
I'm
there'd be
kind
enough
of, I'm
to
kind
keep
of
a cryptid in the area.
like I'm kind of serious about the Donald Trump thing. If you look at the map, right, Atlantic City is right there.
Yeah.
If you've ever been to Atlantic City, they try to make it up like it's Las Vegas. It's not.
No,
It's
not even
basically
close.
this really ghetto jank city, and there's like 2 casinos, and the main casino there is Trump Casino. It's like one casino surrounded by just like this derelict city, and then the Pine Barrens.
You got Trump Plaza there. That's about it,
Yeah,
right?
that's it. Like that's like his little fiefdom, or it was
He
when I
don't
was
even own
growing
it
up.
no more, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean not anymore. No, that place is all shuttered now. But when I was growing up,
Yeah.
throughout my young years in New Jersey, Atlantic City was Trump Town. That's what it
Yeah.
was.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
think
know.
there's a
Maybe he got the
connection.
land cheap. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think he made some deals, but yeah, Atlantic City sucks, folks. Don't go there.
It's no fun, he said.
It wasn't fun back then. Yeah, I mean, there was that
Right,
casino,
right.
but
Yeah, it's just my biggest thing is like if this thing were of the physical, why has it not been seen elsewhere? Because as we know, yeah, the Pine Barrens may be big, but so is this creature. It's not a small thing. Why hasn't it like maybe even migrated or flown somewhere else, or like I said, reproduced to the point where its offspring would have to fly somewhere else to have, you know, room to
I think
eat and hunt. And
I think a creature like that would definitely stick to the coast, like stick to the ocean areas. My theory is that its other area is the Everglades. Because the Everglades is another area where there's not a lot of people going in and out of there. It's pretty remote. It's right by, it's close enough access to the ocean. Right
yeah,
along
but
the eastern seaboard.
well, all the way up and down the coast. I mean, you
Yeah.
got to think of Louisiana and its bayous
Yeah.
and all of that stuff. I mean, it has. I mean, if it wants that particular type of environment, there are plenty of places for it to go.
Mhm.
So, I mean, so that kind of, makes me go back to the point, well, maybe it's not on this physical realm
Right.
that we're speaking of. Maybe it's not flesh and blood. Maybe it's spiritual.
Something more supernatural.
So why would it have to move? I don't know. This particular cryptid has got me confused. It does. It's got me confused because I don't know what to do with it. Because even Bigfoot, even Dogman, you get, we do have photos, whether they be blob squatches, blurry, whatever you want to call them. We do have photographic evidence of these creatures. This thing, we've got a drawing. But if you would think that these people are getting hoof prints on their roofs and all this other, their roofs and all this other kind of stuff, you would think that we would have some type of evidence caught on a security camera, something, anything. But we all know that if you're talking the paranormal side of things, the ghost side of things, the spiritual side of things, you may not catch it on film at all. You could be looking right at it. Your camera's pointed right at it, but you won't get that evidence. I don't know, Randy. What were you gonna say? Go ahead.
Oh no, I was actually looking at a couple of pictures because Joanne's out there. She's talking about this the hammerhead bat, and I went out and found them. And there's a couple of them. I mean, I'm gonna bring up a picture. I didn't load it up, but I'm just gonna bring up pictures. A couple pictures I got here real quick. That she said it's a good sized bat. Now there's a couple of them that look kind of large, but it's still, this bat can be held in your hand. But I'll tell you what, when you look at the face on this thing, you'll be sitting there going, where'd that come from? Type thing.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Are you talking about a bat that's indigenous to that area?
No, it is not. This is this bat is in Africa, but she's bringing up the
Oh, the
hammerhead.
fox. It's the
No, not the fox bat. This is actually called a hammerhead bat.
Okay.
So let's see if I can find.
Yeah, if you can find a picture of it. I'm not familiar.
Right there. That's a hammerhead bat right there. That's being held in somebody's hand right there. Look at the size of the eyes of it, first of all.
Well, it still is a large bat.
But that's a guy's hand holding it.
Yeah.
I know, but
It's not
that's
as big
still
as what they're
large.
describing. It's not as big as what they're describing, but yeah, I see. But you see now, I'm trying to. I got one here. That's the. I gotta find it here.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, this animal or this creature is like a hodgepodge of like all these different animals that. All right, can you zoom in on that by any chance?
That's about the best I can get out of that. And it can get up to about a foot and a half or so.
It's kind of cute, actually.
It is kind of cute. That one there.
I want to snuggle with it.
Yeah, I don't want to. That thing's ugly.
You just go right on the head. You just go right on the head with that. But
yeah, I just want to. Yeah, that and that bat is, but it's indigenous to Africa. So I'm kind of
right. So like I said, I don't know. Like I said, this one confuses me. Like I said, you can catch the footprints, except we still don't know what left the footprints. We can only assume. We can only speculate.
There aren't too many things that fly around that have hooves.
Right. But there aren't. We can only say that's what it was. I mean, because we just don't know. I've seen weird things happen.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say that there wasn't a relative of that bat right there that was in that area at that time. It may not be there no more,
Maybe somebody brought it over with them on a boat. You never know.
You never know.
May have had a stowaway. You don't know.
Easily could have. So, I mean, and if it had enough to eat, who knows how big it could have gotten to, I mean, we can what if it all day long, honestly, because there's always a possibility of something,
Yeah.
Right. Little Petty says it's a reindeer with wings. That's what I said. I said it's either that or it's Santa Claus stopping by. I get to check on everything.
All I got to say is just remember, Bumbles bounce. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to leave this to everybody out there, and you can look for more information if you want to, and if you come up with a good theory, let me know, because I've heard everything out there, and I'm still not 100% on anything yet. I'm kind of on the fence about 4 different ideas.
Oh yeah,
4 different ideas, and there's not enough evidence to say it's exactly this or exactly that, or I just don't have it. I just don't have it.
But we
and
agree.
for
Ben Franklin was a what when it come to it all. He was a
troll. He was a troll.
He was a bughead.
And to answer Brandy's, and before we conclude for the evening,
you can't say that on here.
Before we conclude for the evening, I just wanted to answer Brandy's earlier rhetorical question why we haven't seen more of the Jersey Devil in other locations. And all I have to say to that is New Jersey Jesus says you're welcome.
Thank you, Donnie.
New Jersey Jesus says you're welcome.
Somebody take the controls away from Donnie. He's not allowed to have no more. That's it. That's it. Because we all know John Bon Jovi's living on a prayer. Yeah. And with that, everybody, we want to thank everybody for showing up. Thank you, Scott's Life, for all of that. Donnie, if you could do a recap of everybody who has donated for us tonight. And
yes, thank you. Members. Thank you, T-Bone, twice. Thank you to Mark Z-Hammer. I like your name, Mark. Mike Bothwell, thank you very much. Some Canadian monies. That's like American monies, but more special. Jelly Montgomery, thank you for your donation. Always great to have you. And Keith from 1675. You're only about, you're about, what, 30 years right before Ben Franklin was born. Scott's Life. Thank you. Good to see you again for Scott's Life. I always see him popping in and out. He's always a good dude.
Yeah, but it's good to see everybody. And we do appreciate you. Everything helps because, as we all know, this stuff is not free. Even though our time that we're spending here is free, that's about the only thing that is. Free time.
No, it ain't.
That's all that's free nowadays. But we do thank you. We hope that everybody has a fabulous Thanksgiving. Make sure you kiss and hug your loved ones and have a great day tomorrow. So I'm just going to say happy Thanksgiving. And what do you guys have to say? Donnie?
I'm actually thinking about inventing a new holiday. It's called the opposite of Thanksgiving, called Haters Day, where all you do is sit around and you hate on things and you just complain all day long. It'll be the opposite of Thanksgiving.
That's Thanksgiving in some households anyway.
No, that's Monday for me. That's Monday.
That's the same day.
The opposite of
and I just wanted to let everybody know there will not be a show tomorrow night from Blondes and Boos. We are taking the night off to enjoy it with our families, or like me, I'm going to sleep. But that's about it. All right.
I might do a live tomorrow, only because my Thanksgiving plans actually don't occur tomorrow. They occur this weekend. So if I might just do a casual, just turn on the live and see who wants to show up. If people, nothing planned. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Well, make sure. That's why we said always subscribe and hit that notification button. That way you'll know if we do a crazy stunt like Donnie's talking about. You just never know. But at least the notification will let you know that we're on.
Yeah.
All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye. Okay. We can play the outro now.
Bye.